The flickering glow of my laptop screen cast an eerie light on my sweaty face. My heart thumped like a trapped bird against my ribs. "Welcome to the Elysium Project," a distorted voice cackled from the speakers. I, Alex, investigative journalist for a local rag, was deep down the rabbit hole of the notorious The Sticks, a dark web black market. This wasn't a story about drugs or guns. This was different, darker. For weeks, whispers of a disturbing trade had been swirling through online forums. Rumors of enhanced humans people experimented on, given freakish abilities. I couldn't ignore it. So with a fake identity and a pounding pulse, I'd infiltrated the Elysium Project's invitation-only chat room. "Prove your worth," the voice continued, a list of sickening tasks scrolling on the screen. Stealing medical supplies, orchestrating staged accidents, each more depraved than the last. My stomach lurched. Was this real? Were these people actually kidnapping others for twisted experiments? My conscience screamed at me to back out, but the reporter in me craved the truth. Grimacing, I typed, "I accept." Days blurred into weeks. Each completed task earned me a scrap of information, a partial address, a cryptic message about the Ascension. The fear gnawed at me, but I clung to the hope of exposing them. One night, a package arrived, a sleek black mask with glowing red eyes and a one-way ticket to a deserted city 2 states away. This was it. My palms were slick with sweat as I boarded the rickety bus, the mask hiding my terror. The city was a skeletal shell, abandoned streets choked by overgrown weeds. The address led me to a crumbling brick building, shadows dancing in the moonlight. A metallic hum resonated from within. Taking a deep breath, I slipped through the broken doorway. The air inside was thick with a sterile metallic tang. Cobwebs brushed against my face as I crept through a maze of dimly lit corridors. Finally, the hum grew louder, leading me to a massive steel door. Hesitantly, I pushed it open. The sight that greeted me ripped a scream from my throat. Glowing tubes filled with a sickly green liquid held grotesque figures, bodies contorted, limbs twisted at unnatural angles. They were people, but wrong, their eyes vacant, skin stretched taut over their bones. My blood ran cold. This was no myth. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the room. "Welcome, Initiate." I whirled around to see a tall, gaunt figure in a white lab coat. He wore a chilling smile. "You've done well, but there's one final test." A cold dread seeped into my bones. He gestured to a metal table with an array of wicked-looking instruments. "Project Ascension requires perfect physical and mental conditioning. Let's see if you have what it takes." My mind raced. This maniac was going to dissect me. Adrenaline surged through me. I lunged forward, knocking a vial off the table. Green liquid splattered across the floor, hissing and sizzling. The man recoiled in horror, momentarily stunned. Seizing my chance, I bolted. A chase ensued through the sterile halls. My lungs burned, legs screaming in protest. He was gaining, his raspy breathing close behind me. Just as he lunged, missed, and was temporarily dazed. I tripped, tumbling headfirst into a room. Disoriented, I scrambled to my feet. The room was a library, dusty books piled high on shelves. As I scanned the room, my gaze fell on a faded photograph tucked behind a bust. It was the scientist, younger, grinning next to a group of smiling kids. On the back, a chilling inscription, Elysium Academy, shaping the future, one child at a time. The blood drained from my face. This wasn't just a black market operation, it was a twisted continuation of a research project. Children, perhaps orphans, experimented on under the guise of education. The scientist was worse than a villain. He was a madman chasing a twisted utopia. A guttural cry shattered the sudden silence. The scientist stood in the doorway, eyes blazing with fury. He lunged at me again, his face contorted in a mask of rage. Just then, a low, rumbling sound filled the room. The ceiling began to crumble, heavy debris raining down. Panic seized me. The building was collapsing. We scrambled back, desperately seeking escape. The dust settled on a scene of chaos, beams groaning ominously. The scientist lay motionless, trapped under a fallen bookshelf. With a choked sob, I scrambled through a gaping hole in the wall, moonlight streaming through. I ran. not daring to look back until I reached the deserted street. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky with streaks of pink and orange. The city bus ride back was a blur. Exhausted and shaken, I stumbled off the bus, the mask clutched tightly in my hand. The truth I'd unearthed was far worse than I imagined. The experience changed me. The thrill of the scoop no longer mattered. I'd seen the true cost of scientific ambition unchecked, the thin line between progress and monstrosity. The black market experiment wasn't just a story I wrote, it was a story I lived. It lives on in the shadows, a reminder that sometimes the darkest secrets are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be unearthed. The flickering blue light of my laptop screen cast an eerie glow on my dorm room walls. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs as I scrolled through the hidden forum thread, each anonymous post a cryptic message I barely understood. It all started with a harmless dare, a challenge from my friend Sarah to explore the dark web. "Just a peek," she'd said, her voice laced with nervous excitement. "It's not like you'll find anything scary." Famous last words. The deeper I ventured down the rabbit hole, the more unsettling things became. Posts alluded to illegal activities, graphic content, and disturbing rumors about a shadowy figure known only as the Puppeteer. Legends swirled around him, whispers of his ability to manipulate people's lives from behind a screen. Curiosity gnawed at me. Who was this Puppeteer? Was it all just elaborate internet lore, or was there a kernel of truth buried beneath the digital grime? That was a mistake. The next morning, my phone buzzed incessantly. Unknown numbers choked my inbox, each voicemail a chillingly distorted voice repeating my name. Panic clawed at my throat. I changed my passwords, blocked the numbers, and scrubbed my social media profiles clean, desperately trying to erase my digital footprint. But it was too late. The messages shifted. They weren't just my name anymore, they were details. My favorite coffee shop, the brand of sneakers I wore, the name of the professor whose class I almost missed that morning. Every innocuous detail sent a fresh wave of terror crashing over me. This wasn't a prank. Someone, or something, was watching my every move. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle outside my window sent me scrambling for the light switch. Sarah, initially amused by my predicament, grew worried. She convinced me to report it to the campus police. But when the officers arrived, their faces were grim. "This kind of cyber-stalking is tough to track," one of them admitted, his voice laced with a weary resignation. "The perpetrator could be anywhere in the world. Anywhere." The word echoed in my head, a constant reminder of my vulnerability. The online threats escalated. Photos I'd never shared publicly surfaced on anonymous forums, accompanied by malicious captions. My grades began to slip as the constant fear chipped away at my focus. I was a prisoner in my own life, my every move anticipated, controlled by an unseen force. One night, nestled beneath a mountain of blankets, the familiar buzz of my phone jolted me awake. It wasn't a call, but a text message. 3 simple words sent from a number cloaked in anonymity. "I'm outside." My blood ran cold. I tiptoed to my window, peering through the blinds. A dark figure stood across the street, shrouded in the shadows. It held a phone, its screen casting an eerie glow in the darkness. I could almost feel its eyes boring into me, even through the thin barrier of glass. Panic turned to a desperate resolve. I grabbed my laptop, my shaking fingers flying across the keyboard. On a forum I frequented, I posted a message, a desperate plea for help. Within minutes, a response appeared. It was brief, just a single cryptic sentence. "Meet me at the library, computer lab, 3rd floor. Midnight." Fear warred with desperation. Did I trust a stranger on the dark web? But what choice did I have? At midnight, the library was a stark contrast to the warm glow of my dorm room. The air hung heavy with silence, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock. A single figure sat hunched over a computer at the far end of the lab. As I approached, the figure swiveled around, revealing a young man with a mop of messy hair and tired eyes. "You're the one who posted?" he asked, his voice a low murmur. I nodded, my throat too constricted to speak. He gestured for me to sit. "I can help you," he said, his words clipped but sincere. "But it won't be easy." He explained he was a former target of the puppeteer, someone who managed to escape his clutches. Together we spent the night tracing the origin of the messages, a digital trail leading down a labyrinthine path of anonymous proxies and encrypted servers. As the night wore on, the air crackled with a tense energy. Just as the first rays of dawn peeked through the library windows, a new message arrived. It was an address, a single sentence. "Game over." My breath hitched. Game over? Was this a twisted invitation, a final challenge, or a chilling promise? I looked at the young man beside me, a silent question hanging in the air. He met my gaze, his eyes narrowed. "We go," he said. "But this game isn't over yet, not by a long shot." The old, dusty laptop hummed to life, casting an eerie blue glow on my friends' faces. Sarah, the brave one, leaned closer, her eyes wide. "This is it, guys," she whispered, her voice barely above a squeak. The forbidden game. We'd heard whispers at school about this online game, a hidden corner of the internet promising to grant your deepest desires. But the rumors also spoke of consequences, a dark price to pay for tampering with fate. Curiosity gnawed at us, a delicious forbidden fruit. The game's website was bare bones, just a black screen with a single line of white text. "Enter your wish." My heart hammered in my chest as I typed, a silly, harmless wish, to get an A on the upcoming science test. We all took turns, each wish a secret confession of our heart's desires. Sarah wished for the star role in the school play, Michael for the latest phone, and timid Emily for the courage to stand up to the school bully. A confirmation message flashed, "Wish received, the game begins." A shiver ran down my spine. Nothing seemed to happen at first, but the next day, strange things began to occur. Sarah tripped and fell, scraping her knee badly, right where a stage light would fall in the play according to the script. Michael's phone, the one he desperately craved, inexplicably went dead, the screen a spiderweb of cracks. I got my A. Immediately, the teacher accused me of cheating. Panic clawed at me. This wasn't a game anymore, this was something worse. Emily, usually quiet, started muttering about the school bully following her everywhere, his laughter echoing in the empty hallway even when he wasn't there. Fear, thick and suffocating, filled the room. The next day was a nightmare. Sarah missed her big audition, sidelined by her injury. Michael's phone remained a useless brick. I was sent to the principal for cheating. Emily, pale and trembling, ran out of class screaming about the bully, but no one saw him. We were trapped in our own personal horror shows, our wishes twisted into punishments. Desperate, we returned to the Forbidden Game website, but the screen was blank, mocking our pleas. We were locked in. That night, the game escalated. Sarah woke up to find the play script covered in red ink, the words, "You'll never be good enough," scrawled across the page. Michael's room reeked of something burnt, his prized possessions smoldering in a pile on his desk. I was expelled from school. Emily was the worst. She became a ghost of her former self, her eyes hollow, her once gentle voice a terrified whisper. We found her huddled in a corner, muttering about the bully, who seemed to be growing stronger with each passing hour, his laughter morphing into a low, menacing growl. We knew then with a chilling certainty that these weren't random occurrences. The game was feeding on our deepest fears, turning them into reality. We had to break free. But how? Driven by a mix of terror and determination, we scoured the internet for anything on the Forbidden Game. Days blurred into nights, fueled by stale pizza and bleary eyes. Finally, on a dusty forum post from years ago, we found a glimmer of hope. The post mentioned a failsafe, a way to escape the game. It was cryptic and incomplete, but it spoke of facing your fear head-on. A terrifying prospect, but our only option. Armed with this sliver of hope, we each confronted our nightmares. Sarah, shaking like a leaf, practiced her lines in the empty auditorium, tears streaming down her face. Michael, ignoring the sick feeling in his stomach, ripped apart his broken phone, a symbolic act of defiance. I confronted the principal with evidence that I did not cheat and asked to retake the test to prove it. Emily, the hardest of all, wrote a letter to the bully, pouring out her fear but also her strength. As we finished, a strange calm settled over us. The air crackled with anticipation. Then, with a deafening pop, the laptop screen flickered and went dark. The oppressive feeling lifted, replaced by a shaky sense of relief. We didn't get our wishes. In fact, we were worse off, scarred, shaken, and forever changed. But we were free. We stumbled out of that room, blinking in the sunlight, the horrors of the forbidden game clinging to us like a bad dream. We never spoke of it again, a silent pact woven from shared terror. The game may be gone, but the memory lingers, a chilling reminder that some wishes are best left unfulfilled, and the darkest corners of the internet hold secrets better left undisturbed. We escaped, but a part of us will forever be trapped in the nightmarish world of the forbidden game.